I used to think love would come quietly, like a warm breeze on a spring morning, gentle and soft. But when I met Adrian Blake, it hit me like lightning. It was a Tuesday afternoon, one of those days when you're tired down to your bones after back-to-back lectures. I got on the bus, juggling my backpack and an old tote, head down, just wanting to zone out. Then I heard a voice say, "Here, take my seat." I looked up. He stood there, tall, broad shoulders, dressed in a charcoal grey coat that looked too sharp for public transit. His smile was calm and kind. "Thank you," I said, taking the seat. I expected him to move on, maybe check his phone, but he stayed nearby, holding the rail and glancing at me now and then. "You don't look like you're from around here," he said, casual but curious. "I'm a student," I told him. "University of Texas. Languages major." "That explains it," he said, studying me just long enough to make me feel seen but not uncomfortable. Confident, but careful. "Sorry, that probably sounds strange," he added. I smiled a little without meaning to. He laughed, a warm, genuine laugh, and we ended up talking the rest of the way. About nothing really. Coffee shops. Parks. Texas weather never making up its mind. When my stop came, I stood, ready to head back to my normal life. But then he said, "Wait, can I get your number? I'd like to see you again." I don't usually say yes to strangers. But something in the way he looked at me, like I was the only person on that bus, made me nod. The next night, I found myself outside a restaurant way fancier than anywhere I'd been. It had golden lights, sleek cars out front, and a host who looked like he could guess your credit score just by looking at your shoes. I smoothed down my simple black dress and hesitated. Then Adrian appeared. He smiled like he'd been waiting just for me. "You look incredible," he said, and kissed the back of my hand like some old movie gentleman. Dinner felt like stepping into another world. He ordered wine I couldn't pronounce and told stories about growing up in Europe. His adoptive parents, Robert and Helena DuPont, split their time between Paris and Geneva, always traveling for art shows and charity events. He said he came back to Texas to reconnect with his roots. He wasn't showing off. He just talked like someone who trusted me. And when he asked about my life, school, family, dreams, he really listened. By the time he walked me to my car, I realized I wanted to see him again. From that point on, we were always together. Study sessions turned into coffee dates. Coffee dates became weekend hikes. Weekend hikes turned into late-night phone calls that lasted until the sky turned pink. Adrian made me feel like I mattered, not just another tired student juggling work and school. He texted me good morning before my alarm went off, good night after I'd already fallen asleep. He brought me coffee on hard days and flowers for no reason. One evening, while we were sitting on the balcony of his condo overlooking the city, he said, "You should meet my parents. They'll love you. They've always wanted me to find someone special." I blinked, surprised by how fast everything was moving. "Are you sure? We haven't been dating that long." "Long enough," he said with a grin. "You're different, Sarah." No one had ever said that to me before. Not like that. And I liked hearing it. I started to believe that maybe this could be something real, something lasting. Before Adrian, my life was simple. Maybe too simple. I grew up in a small town outside Austin, the kind where everyone knows your name and your business. My mom, Patty, raised me and my sister on her own after my dad left when I was 7. He didn't call, didn't write. Just disappeared. Mom never talked badly about him, but I could see the way her face tightened whenever someone brought him up. She didn't have time for bitterness, she had 2 kids to take care of. She worked long hours at the grocery store, doing whatever she could to make ends meet. Then there was Jenna, my sister, 3 years older. She used to be my hero. Strong, smart, unstoppable. That was my life before Adrian. Plain, maybe. But honest. I never expected love to come crashing in like this. But now that it had, I wasn't sure I could imagine life without it. Jenna was a dancer, and not just any dancer. She was winning competitions, getting invited to regional showcases, and talking about moving to New York one day. Watching her perform was like watching someone fly. Then came the accident. A rainy evening, a slick road, and a driver who couldn't stop in time. changed everything. Jenna's left leg took most of the impact. The doctors saved it, but her career, it was gone. She tried for months to push through, to keep dancing despite the pain, but eventually she quit. And then her fiancé left. He said all the right things. It's not you, it's me. And I just can't handle seeing you like this. But the truth was simpler. He didn't want a life with someone who couldn't dance anymore. Jenna retreated into herself after that. She stopped performing, stopped dating, stopped living in a way. Some days she was okay, joking and chatting like old times, but most days she stayed in her room with headphones on, pretending the world outside didn't exist. I think watching her go through that is what made me cautious about relationships. I told myself I was focusing on school, on working toward a degree in Spanish language and literature, but deep down I was just scared. Scared of giving someone that kind of power over me. Still, there was a part of me that longed for something real. Not just a fling, not just a boyfriend, but someone who saw me, who stayed. That's probably why Adrian felt like such a miracle. He stepped into my life with his easy smile and warm voice, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel weighed down by everything I had seen go wrong. Mom noticed before anyone else. One Sunday, she set down her mixing spoon and stared at me. "You're smiling more lately," she said, half accusing, half teasing. "Is there a boy involved?" I wanted to deny it like I usually did when she cried, but instead I laughed and nodded. "Yeah, Mom, there's someone." She studied me for a long moment, like she was weighing whether to be happy or worried. Finally, she sighed and said softly, "Just promise me one thing, Sarah. Take care of your heart. It's worth more than you know." At the time, I thought she was just being protective. I didn't know how right she was. When Adrian invited me to dinner with his parents, I was nervous, but also excited. Meeting someone's family meant something. It meant we weren't just casually dating anymore. It meant he was serious. "They're a little different," he said with a grin as he steered his car through winding roads. "Grew up in France, lived all over Europe. You'll like them." That word different echoed in my head all day. My roommate Emily gave me a strange piece of advice before I left. If they speak French, pretend you don't understand it. People say things when they think you can't follow along. I almost laughed. "Emily, I'm not fluent. I only took beginner French for my language elective." "Exactly. Don't let them know you understand even a little," she said, wagging a finger. "Just smile and nod. Trust me." So that's what I decided to do. The DuPont home looked like something out of an architectural magazine. Sleek modern lines softened by warm lighting with framed European art. Lining the walls, Helena DuPont greeted us at the door. A tall, elegant woman. "Helena," said warmly, kissing Adrian on both cheeks before turning to me. "And you must be Sarah." I smiled, murmuring, "Hello." Adrian quickly added, "She mostly speaks English, Mom." Helena's smile softened, but something in her eyes flickered. Interest? Amusement? I couldn't tell. We sat at a long oak table set like a painting. Polished silverware, crystal glasses, flickering candles. At first, everything felt almost perfect. Helena asked polite questions about school and family. Robert nodded along, occasionally adding a short comment. Adrian kept one hand resting lightly on mine, as if to remind me I belonged there. But then midway through dessert, Helena glanced at her husband and switched to French. "N'est-ce pas? She doesn't know why we need her, does she?" My breath caught, but I kept my face blank, pretending I hadn't understood a word. Adrian answered quickly, also in French. "Non-elnate rain. No, she doesn't know a thing." Helena smiled faintly, taking another sip of wine, and turned the conversation back to English, complimenting my dress as if nothing unusual had happened. I forced a polite smile, but inside my heart was pounding. Need me for what? The rest of dinner passed in a blur. I nodded when I was supposed to, smiled when it felt right, all while replaying those French words in my mind over and over. On the drive back, Adrian was cheerful, asking me what I thought of his parents. They are very sophisticated, I said. Carefully. He chuckled. Yeah, they can be intimidating. Don't take it personally. They've just lived in a different world for so long. I nodded, staring out the window. But I couldn't shake that feeling, like I'd just stepped into something I didn't understand. That night, lying in bed, I whispered the words I'd overheard under my breath. She doesn't know why we need her. Whatever that meant, it wasn't about love or acceptance or family. It was about me being useful to them somehow. And for the first time since I'd met Adrian, a cold thread of fear slipped through the warmth I felt for him. 2 weeks after that dinner, Adrian surprised me with an idea. Let's get away this weekend, he said, leaning casually against my kitchen counter. Just you and me. I booked a cabin out in the hill country. You could use a break. We both could. On the surface, it sounded perfect, quiet, romantic, far from school stress, and the echo of Helena's words still stuck in my head. I hesitated, but Adrian noticed and cupped my face gently. You've been tense lately. Let me take care of you for once. I nodded slowly. Okay, yeah, that sounds nice. The drive itself was beautiful. Rolling hills, wildflowers swaying in the warm Texas wind, and Adrian humming softly to the radio. He seemed completely at ease, like this was just another step in our relationship. I wanted to believe it. When we arrived, I stepped out and blinked at the view. The cabin looked like something from a travel magazine. Wood and stone. Wraparound porch, and beyond it, a shimmering lake reflecting the golden evening sun. Pretty amazing, here? Adrian said, slipping an arm around my waist. Come on, let's unpack and start dinner. Inside, the place was even more luxurious. Fireplace, soft rugs, a kitchen already stocked. Adrian opened a bottle of red wine and poured me a glass. To us, he said with a warm smile. We talked, we laughed, we cooked together, and for a while, I forgot about that nagging voice in my head. Until I noticed how often he refilled my glass. By the time I sat down, my head felt light. Adrian, I feel tired. My words came out thick, my vision tilting. He was by my side in an instant, lowering me gently onto the couch. Shoot, just rest, he whispered, his voice calm and oddly distant. I woke up to the smell of damp wood and something metallic. My head throbbed and my hands wouldn't move. They were tied behind me. I was on a cold concrete floor in what looked like a basement. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Then I heard Adrian's voice, calm and deliberate from somewhere above. Yeah, she's ready. Everything's in place. A chill shot down my spine. She's ready. Ready for what? I twisted my wrists, wincing as the ropes cut into my skin. Adrian, what are you doing? My voice cracked, panicked. He appeared at the top of the stairs, descending slowly, his expression soft. Almost tender, but wrong. Sarah, you don't understand now, but you will. This is going to change your life. My heart pounded so hard I thought I might pass out. Untie me, Adrian, please. Whatever. It isn't funny. He crouched in front of me, brushing a strand of hair. For my face. She trust me. Soon you'll thank me. And in that moment, staring at the man I thought I loved, I knew two things. He wasn't who I thought he was, and if I didn't get out, I might never get home again. The ropes dug into my wrists, burning with every movement, but I didn't care. Panic sharpened everything. My breathing, the cold floor. Beneath me, even the faint hum of crickets outside. Adrian's voice drifted from upstairs. Come, steady. Yeah, she's ready. Everything's in place. No, she doesn't suspect a thing. My stomach twisted. She's ready for what? I looked around the basement. A single dangling bulb cast pale light. over the concrete walls. There, a rusty nail sticking from an old wooden door frame. I shifted, inching toward it on my knees, praying the ropes didn't snap loud enough for him to hear. My pulse throbbed in my ears as I began rubbing the ropes against the nail. At first, nothing. Then a strand gave way, then another, until one hand slipped free. I froze listening. Adrian was still talking upstairs. I untied the rest with trembling fingers, then moved to my ankles. My hands were slick with sweat. But finally the ropes fell away. The stairs were too risky. I turned to the small window near the ceiling. It was tight, but I shoved it open and crawled through, scraping my arms on the rough frame. Cold night. Air hit my face as I fell to the ground outside. I ran. Branches whipped my arms and face as I tore through the woods. Behind me, a shout split the night. Sarah, stop. It's not what you think. I didn't stop. My lungs burned. My legs screamed. But I kept running. Every snapping branch sounded like his footsteps closing in. Then ahead, a light, faint but real, a cabin. I sprinted toward it, tripping on a root and hitting the ground hard before scrambling up again. Help! I screamed, pounding on the door. Please, help me. The door swung open and a man filled the frame. Tall, broad, wearing a gray hoodie. Beside him, a Belgian Malinois growled low. Muscles coiled a spring. What's going on? He demanded, eyes narrowing. Someone, he drugged me. Tied me up. He's coming. Please. My voice cracked as tears spilled down my face. The man didn't hesitate. He stepped aside, pulling me in and snapping a command. Duke, watch. The dog bolted out, barking fiercely into the night. From somewhere behind us, Adrian cursed and retreated into silence. The man slammed the door, locking it. You're safe now, he said, firmly, scanning me from head to toe. You're shaking. Sit down. I collapsed onto a worn leather chair, my body trembling uncontrollably as adrenaline drained out of me. Who tied you up? He asked, kneeling to look at the rope burns on my wrists. My boyfriend, Adrian Blake, I stammered. He's not who I thought he was, he said. He was helping me, but my voice trailed off as the reality hit me. I had trusted the wrong person, and it had nearly cost me everything. The man's jaw tightened. Name's Mark Bennett. I live out here. Army now. Search and rescue.